Hello everybody, it's Mikey here, ready to give you another video, I'm stepping into a touchy area here, I'll tell you, but this is something that I feel should be taught. It should be knowledge, because there's a lot of things that I take for granted, just, because I've been in the industry the amount of time that I have. A lot of times I assume that people know a few things that maybe they don't. And so there's a couple things that I just wanted to go over. And this thing's entitled How to Be an Audiophile, Not an Audiofool. And I can't stand that name, Audiofool, the way people throw it around and stuff. It's just silly, but I think it's apropos for this discussion. Essentially, actually, the video with Mark the other day, Mark Levinson, he touched on it. He called it the Audio Mafia. He was talking about the stores and the magazines and the manufacturers. Okay, I can slim that down a little bit more and be a little bit more distinct and say the corporate manufacturers. Okay, what I mean by that is, okay, so let me take. Boy, this is going to be tricky because I don't want to mention any names, because some people that have purchased these things recently may just be all offended or whatever, but that is not my intent, okay? My intent is not bashing anybody. My intent is to just show you some things that and maybe some things that are inside knowledge that you wouldn't know as just an outside consumer, let's go over this. Okay, so there's a company, an American company that's been around, that's hi-fi for a long time. They have really cool blue faceplates with blue VU meters. Okay, you probably know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to say the name. Okay, so brilliant company at one time. When the owner, the founder of the company was there, there's a heart and a soul that's there. There's a vision that's there from the founder, the creator of that company. And therein lies the magic. That is where the heart of the company comes from. It's the creator of it, okay? At some point, those companies sell, because they'd be silly not to. They want to retire. So the owner sells his dream, sells it away in a nice package, and a corporation buys it, usually. Corporate conglomerate, international conglomerate, some giant $billion+ company buys it up, and they leverage the name for profit to their bottom line. That's what it is. The soul is eviscerated. There is no more soul any longer. It's gone. The founder is no longer there. There is not that visionary that was once there, the creator of the brand. Now it's in the hands of a corporate entity that is got a responsibility to its shareholders to provide profit in a form that goes up every quarter, or that guy's fired, the CEO. So the goal even of the company becomes different. So I've never seen a product that doesn't get worse when that happens. I've never seen it. And I've seen many excellent names of companies, of brands that were once the shit, right? They were once really killer equipment, and then once corporate gets a hold of them, they're castrated. It's no longer at all what it was before. So a lot of these names that you hear a ton of, you can also tell it's also will be the name that gets marketed like crazy, okay? Because man, they put tons of dough into pushing that name. So you're going to see it in the magazines, full page ads, blah, blah, everywhere. You're going to see that. Not only that, but you're going to see reviews of it all over the place, because this is how it works. They're all in bed with each other. Those three. It's the trifecta, right? The three, the dealer, the reviewers in the magazines, the media, and the corporate entity type high marketing budget companies. Okay, those are not going to be the best products in the market. The best products in the market are the ones that you don't hear about so much, and you probably might even have never heard of them yet. These are the companies where the owner is still there, coming in every day. He's putting his heart and his soul into it. He's still, the vision is ripe and it's still there, you know. Even the guy that's been there for 40 years, but the man is still there working on repairing every piece that comes in, and he's still very much there. The creator is still there. Those are the companies that make the best hi-fi. That's all there is to it, okay? Of course, this is my opinion. I'm not stating it as if I'm God or, this is some, I'm a judge, okay? This, of course, it goes without saying, this is my opinion. Everybody's got one. I do too, okay? So here's how not to be an audio fool. Would be to come into the industry to check it out. Okay, let's say you're curious, you want to learn about hi-fi, it's new to you kinda, and you're just checking things out, and you go grab a really popular hi-fi magazine, and you read that, and then that advertises, some product, and then you go to your local dealer, because your local dealer definitely has it because it's now mass produced, so those amps are all over the place. They've been commoditized and castrated. That doesn't mean they're bad, but they're definitely not what they once were, okay? But the price is up with what they once were. A lot of times more. There's some of this stuff that is brand new being released. Take amplifier, for instance. There is one that I know of in particular. It's very expensive, $250,000 for an amplifier. You open it up and look inside, it's 1980s technology. It's not cutting edge new stuff. It's old stuff. So why would it be 250G? Because someone's going to buy it and the guy wants to cash in, and I get it. Why not? Personally, I need more than money out of this. That's secondary. I have faith that the money will come if my heart is in the right place and I do the right thing. So I don't design based on what the returns will be. I design based on improving something. But that's neither here nor there. We're not talking about that. We're talking about how not to be an audiophile. So the first main easiest thing to do is don't buy the biggest name brands that are all over the magazines and all over the reviews and the ones that you would naturally think are the best. It's a name you're buying. It has nothing to do with how it originally was. You're buying the name. It's being leveraged to piss at this point. They are squeezing it for every little bit they can get out of it, And so that's not where, if you can't talk with the founder, probably not real high, not the upper echelon of hi-fi, okay? It's the stuff that's been neutered and watered down. So that's the first thing, is to just don't fall for what's the popular thing in the magazines. They have a lock. They have a lock on the new, for the uninitiated. The uninitiated is unprepared to defend themselves against the local dealer, the magazines, and the corporate manufacturers. Okay, they've got this game sewed up. Okay, but you don't have to buy it, And if you're aware of this, that's the first step. Okay, so keep that in mind. The best things that you're going to find will be, it's like going to a restaurant, okay? If you're a foodie, you go to the restaurant based on the chef, okay? That's how I pick my products. It's based on the engineer. I don't give a shit about the name of the thing. I want to talk to the engineer. I won't buy from that company if I can't talk to the guy who designed it. I must, because I'm going to ask him questions about it. I want to know about the story. I want to know why it was created. I want to know why he did something like this. Why did he do something like that? And it makes it's more It's more real. There's a person there. There's a designer there. There's a vision. There's a reason there. That doesn't exist with corporate hi-fi. It's just nobody could tell you. If you tried to get and talk to somebody, even the engineers that designed it, they're so removed from everything else. They're just doing a job that they were told to do. Here, make this thing, make it this spec, da 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 da. You know, they don't get any creative freedom to do what they want to do. They have to do what they're told to do. That's not the same. There's a different product will come from that than from somebody who is just purely creating from their own motivation and joy to create something that they dream up. So that's a big part of determining it. Just you can just it's corporate hi-fi, forget about it, man. You know, you're not going to get a bargain. It's made so that you can sell it half price and still profit well. You know, so they can slash the price and still, you know, and anyways, okay, so that's a good clue. The other thing that comes to mind too is like think about when you go to buy a house. Okay, is there a buyer's agent and a seller's agent? Yes, there is. Why? Because the seller's agent is not going to have your best interest in mind. They just want to sell, and that's all they care about is just selling the home, selling the property. So it's the same way with hi-fi. You want somebody that is going to be on your side, that is a buyer's agent more than a seller's agent. And all you got to do is talk to the person. Just talk to them. Use your senses. You'll know who's solid and who's not. You'll know who's in it that has a heart in it and who's in it because it's a job for them, you know. The local dealer, you know, I'm not saying all of them, okay? But if it's the local dealer that all they carry is the 5 most popular brands, they're part of the racket, man. You know, you're not going to get a good deal. You're going to the things are designed to discount and still make them full profit. So I would not suggest going there unless you want a name that you can show off so that when people go look in the magazines, they see the name that you mentioned. Then yeah, if that's the reason why you're buying stuff, then whatever, cool, knock yourself out. But if you're really seeking the magic, okay, and I use that term, and you'll hear me use it again and again. There's an area in hi-fi where you are emotionally involved with the music to a level that it is moving, and where you realize you're being like swept away, you're being taken away. It's very profound. Not every piece of gear, not every rig is capable of that. It has to do with the realism. It has to do with the lucidity, the realism. How do you measure realism? You can't measure realism. It's something that comes from the person can sense it, but it can't. How do you measure that with a tool? You can't. So it has to do with choosing the right components. Here's another thing. Here's another point to make. You must impedance match your components. Unless there's a buffer in between, unless you have transformers on the input, you know, something like that nature, which negates that because it decouples it and negates it. It doesn't matter what impedance is on in front of it. If you aren't transformer coupled, then you need to match your impedances. Your products need to match. You can't just arbitrarily throw gear together and expect that it's going to work, because it won't. There's certain things that just don't go together electrically. And, you know, especially if you're mixing in between tube and solid state, you're going to find a lot more of that. So you need to read up on it, find out what that is. What is impedance matching? What does it mean? Why do I need to be concerned with it? Because the other thing is that maybe it works, but it doesn't sound that good. It's not working at 100%. You've got your setup, but your DAC is only, your preamp is only being realized to 40% or something like that, because the impedances are off, So you must pay attention to the output impedance and the input impedance of your gear, and they must be matched or in the right ratio where one's a lot higher than the other one, and then at that point it's fine too. But at the exact match point, zero loss. There's zero loss. It is perfectly matched. So that is something that you need to pay attention to. Think of some other things here. Realize, here's another thing. To realize, okay, if you're coming in and you're starting out with some of the lower priced items, okay, there are people that review these items that are the kind of the popular direct sale, lower priced items, and people review them like these things are the best thing they've ever heard. Okay, well, maybe that person's never had anything over a $1,500 preamp or whatever. So of course it's the best thing he's heard, because he doesn't have enough listening experience. Put up a staunch audiophile is going to be like, psh, what is that? So realize, take everything in context, okay? When people are telling you, or you're reading reviews that say this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, ask yourself, who is that dude that's saying that, and what's his background, and why would he know what's best? Who is he? Okay, don't just take it for granted because he's got a title that he's a reviewer, or he's got a website or whatever, that he knows what the hell he's talking about. Or he could know what he's talking about in his little microcosm, right? But in the grand scheme of hi-fi and ultra up there, he doesn't know. He doesn't have any experience. So of course it's the best thing he's heard. It would probably be not the best thing I've heard, okay? And so please understand that when I try and show that, I'm not bashing something, especially if I don't sell that something, like a server. I don't sell servers, okay? So why would what would be my motivation for bashing a server? If I was really bashing it, it would be like to bolster my own sales or something stupid. That's like the lamest way to sell in the world. Just say, oh, the other stuff is crap, mine's better. I don't sell that way. I never have. It's too weak. And so I am trying to do a couple things. First of all, I want to let people know that as you go up in echelon in cost with hi-fi, that there are things in there that definitely are worth the money. You have to know how to decipher them, how to determine which are the ones that are really worth the money. And then there's absolutely grifters and hustlers that they're going to put product that is not worth that money. And it's up to you to be educated enough to know the difference, or to confide in somebody or trust in somebody, a professional, that can advise you and say, I know all about that damn company. That they get their stuff in China, they rebrand it in Canada, they put it together here, they assemble it. We know this kind of thing. If we've been in the industry, we do our homework. I mean, we know things that are not commonly known in the public. Because we all talk to one another. All us manufacturers that are not part of the corporate thing. It's almost like we're a separate group than the corporate guys. It's just, so we know what's going on, and we know what's up, and we know what's happening. And so if you trust somebody, they can advise you for hi-fi, because then you don't have to learn it. You can just trust in somebody, and then you don't have to find out all this stuff, because frankly it can be confusing. There's a lot of stuff out there that makes it confusing. So that is something else. So not when you go up the rung, not everything is overpriced. You need to know that. I think people should know that, and I want to educate them about that. The other thing is that, I'm trying to think of, see, this is what happens when you don't script it. I don't write it down beforehand, but that's okay. I'm just shooting from the hip, and it's for real, and I'm shooting straight with you. Okay, so let's see the other. Oh yes, okay. Our industry is very adept at making normal things sound mystical and crazy and wild and unknown and magical. Okay, so I can tell you, grab me any description of a piece of audio from any website, anything like that, and I can tell you exactly what there's. I can break it down for you into like simple words that are going to tell you exactly what it is. Okay, one of the ways to keep the buyer in the dark is to use eloquent descriptions for common everyday things. And you would say, like, if you wanted to talk about, like, you'd say, let's say we're talking about silver plated copper wire with Teflon insulation. Okay, so I would say 99.9% pure silver clad 99.9 OFC copper with extruded PTFE and finished with a weaved polymer anti-vibrational jacket. Okay, so any jacket can be anti-vibrational. If it adds mass to it, or if it somehow you can say that for anything just about. So that's just a small example. I could go into it with circuits. I could go into it with just a whole, just any different way. So you might want to either know how to cut through the BS in what you're reading, or bring it or ask somebody that you trust that can cut through the BS, because there's going to be fluff in that advertisement, in that tear sheet, in that thing that you're reading about the specification. There's going to be fluff in there, and they're going to write it in a very eloquent manner, using twice the amount of words that they need to, because then it seems more than what it really is. It seems all, mystical and special, right? So that is something also to be aware of. How it's worded, how it's put together, how is the ad stated, how are they talking about their own gear? If they're using all those kind of words, that you don't really quite know, that may be a red flag. That, okay, so they're just trying to really gussy this puppy up by putting some silver-tongued, writing, down to make me think that it's just very extravagant, and that's why it costs so much. So that's something too to watch out for. And again, it's not like it's just to educate yourself, so you know a little bit more, and you know how to decipher when something may not be exactly worth what they say it is. So, and let me see if there is something else. The other thing, here's another. This is a pointer for those that are starting out, that are looking to buy hi-fi, is that many times you will, for any given dollar amount, let's say $1,000. Okay, for $1,000, you are most likely better off buying a 20-year-old power amp that's $1,000 than you are buying a brand new power amp that's $1,000. Most likely, the 20-year-old amp is going to be just much better made. It's had all the depreciation out of it, and you can find some killer stuff for hundreds of dollars that was made back in the day that is really solid, that people don't know about. They don't know the name because all they remember is the big names. You don't know about the little boutique ones that were really killer, where the company was only around for 8 years or something like that before they disappeared. So again, consult with somebody, because your professional will know what are those well-kept secret brands that are from the past, where you can get serious bang for the buck, in the used market. So a lot of times, that's how I did it coming up through Audiophile. I started out, I bought all used gear. Everything was used, and everything was 20 years or so old, and I got the most amazing deals, and things sounded phenomenal. You heard the other day we did the DAC shootout, and I had some DACs in there that were 20 plus years old that sounded amazing. So that is a good pointer too for building your rig when you're starting out. I think that's probably hitting on most of the points. At least it's hitting on some good ones. So again, I hope you can understand where my intention is on this. You know, it's about it's a I stand for hi-fi. I stand for music. I stand for music listening as a pastime, and I stand for high quality products that are able to bring that music in a level that makes you emote. It touches you. It gives you goosebumps. You just get so involved in the music, it connects you with the music, so you really get the message. You really understand what they're singing about, what story they're telling. That's what I stand for. So I know maybe I haven't been the most. I've been a little hack going into it, and maybe used names by accident. But look, okay, so how do I I got a shit Freya 2 that came in the other day, okay, from a client. He wanted me to check it out and compare it, or to put some amps, put that with an amp for his Buchart speakers, right? And so he sent me in this stuff, and I looked around to see what the Freya was, and all I saw was just all these reviews of gushing reviews about how great it was. Well, I know it's $900. I know, well, probably every amp I have, or every preamp I have sitting around here, I'll bet every one sounds better, you know? And again, no disrespect. There's a totally place for that, and it's awesome for people that are starting out. It's a huge value, okay? Well, I'm not there. I'm not starting out. I'm not that in touch with that. And I want to show you how things are all in perspective, or how things are taken in context. I want to show you and it sucks, but I mean, how else do I show that to you and prove it in any sort of useful fashion, but to show you 6 things that sound better than a Freya? I don't know how else to do it, you know? I mean, all I do is I go into my collection and I pick out things to compare it with, and I put them up there. And yeah, they're more expensive, totally. There is none of them that are $900, okay? So take it for what it's worth. But when somebody says the best they've ever heard, I think you should know what realm that's in. So you don't think that so you don't buy something expecting more, maybe you don't know the difference. Which then it gets down to a thing like, hey, if somebody doesn't know the difference and they're listening to something that isn't really the best sound, but they think it's the best sound, do you just let them enjoy their thing? Yeah, probably. Look, they don't know any better, so just let them enjoy it. Don't burst their bubble, let them enjoy it. But they should, I don't know, man. It's like it's a weird position, because it's like, do you let people know about what the truth is and what is the truth? What is the ultimate truth? Or do you let them just sort of sit in their fantasy and kid themselves? I don't know. It's an interesting thing. If you want to feedback on that question, go ahead. Because I did an extensive line stage comparison over the last couple days, and it's long. It's like 2 hours of stuff. I mean, I left no stone unturned. But anyway, so I just wanted to have this little talk, and if anybody's got anything to add, go for it. I've been talking to the reason that spurred this is because of this channel. I'm talking to a client that I don't normally speak to, which is the uninitiated audiophile. Normally, I'm swimming the waters of staunch, picky audiophiles. That's who I create products for. The guys that are super tough to please, okay? Because that's how I get my jollies. If I can please the guys that are impossible to please, well, then I've been successful. That's the way I look at it. So I get my yayas out of trying to beat the best thing out there, okay? And whether that's the most expensive or not, it doesn't matter, but, it's the one that the audiophiles are talking about. Because we have our little groups of the staunch audiophiles, we click together, we call each other on the phones, we travel to each other's state to go listen to each other's rig, because we're weirdos, okay? So I've encountered a different type of individual, which in the whole grand scheme of things, because of this YouTube channel, and so it's caused me to look at and I talk to them, and some of them are loaded up to the gills with all the popular stuff. All the stuff that is heavily marketed, that the magazines review, that all that stuff, and they are convinced, or maybe not. Actually, they're not, because if they're calling me because something's up. Something is not measuring up. They're not at that magic level that they thought they should be. And that's the thing. That's really where the issue is. They bought a bill of goods. Some of these people have bought so many things in 1 year. I talked to a guy the other day. He had been through, like, bought and sold, like, I think 5 pairs of speakers in 1 year. And I'm like, oh my God, poor guy. Like, I can't believe he went through all that stuff. And on the other hand, I'm like, damn, dude, you got some wherewithal. Like, bravo, man. Like, you really want this to work. Now, that dude's cool to me because he is not giving up, man. At no time soon, no easy way, man. He's been through 5 pairs of speakers and he still keeps the faith because he knows that it can get better. That's amazing to me. That's so cool. I want to support that. I want the guy to get what he came for, So I'm here to help do that. How can I do that? I can lead by example. That's the only thing, man. I sat around waiting for things to change. The only thing I can do is lead by example. Just do my part, which is take care of people that want to be taken care of and have that hi-fi magic. I know how to do it on many different levels, on many different budgets. So that's what I'm here for, is to offer my services and to be at your service. So anyways, hopefully these little education things are not too painful for people that have bought, some of the for the shit, for instance. I'm getting ready to have a video that's going to show you how many things are better than the shit, and I'm not trying to denounce it. I'm just trying to show you that look, that is not the top of hi-fi. That is not, when people say it's the best thing they've ever heard, if it's a reviewer, you might take that as it's the best thing that's out, or it's the best thing, and for $1,000, I have something as good as the $20,000. No, you don't. You don't. So, I think that it's better to be educated and to know that than to be fooled or, into thinking that you've got something that's greater than it is, because you just look, I guess if you're in your own circles, you maybe don't look silly, but it's just sad. It's sad to me because I meet the guys and I'm like, this is a really cool dude, and man, he's been sold a bill of goods and he thinks this is the bomb, and how do I tell him? How do I show him? I mean, come on. I could take that same amount of money that you just spent over the year, and you bought and sold all that, said losing money each time. We could have just done this at the beginning, and I could have put you in this, after talking to you and knowing what kind of listening you do, I could have had you the perfect rig for your budget, and you'd still have it. You wouldn't have sold anything. It'd be just the same right now, still pumping along. So anyways, I'm gonna run and I will be back, but thank you all for joining me in this talk, and I will see you.